liberty, and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Our next order of business will be the approval of the minutes of our last meeting, November 13th, 1995. Do you have any corrections or additions to those minutes?
There's one on page 2 in the second paragraph. Mr. Shields cited the fact that the termination clause had increased in the previous contract. Should it be increased, or is it something else?
Which paragraph?
Second paragraph.
I think that's technically correct. I'm not sure if it's grammatically correct. Should be.
Oh yeah, went from. In other words, we could have notified them between 30 days.
No, up to 5 months, I think.
Cancellation, and then it went to 120 or something.
Okay.
Yeah, that's written.
I put a D on the end of increase.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that would be that makes it proper.
That's what that was.
On the last paragraph on that.
Same page, last paragraph. Okay.
First time city town page, we got the city that takes advantage of sheriff getting. It wasn't the city, we got the contractor, earth construction.
Where's that?
Last paragraph.
Page 2.
Okay, that's right. Had nothing to do with the city of Rutland.
Oh,
Project. Okay.
Wait a minute. The city fixed damages for
Big road on the bypass thing.
That was on the bypass. Had nothing to do with the city.
Are you on page 2, Sil?
Yes.
Yeah, right
You're
there.
talking about the last paragraph?
Yep.
The last paragraph.
Yeah, but the Mr. Ford City was approached. He has approached the city of several times.
Line above, John.
Yeah, but that was in reference to the Campbell Road, which is a city street, so that was correct. I talked to them in the city.
But that's fine, but Kip's quote,
The one I said, above, the line above.
the line above,
Oh, okay.
that
Yeah,
was
okay,
yeah.
earth construction.
That is, yeah, that is,
Everything else
yeah,
is
that
fine, I
was.
think, in that paragraph, yeah.
Sure.
Now the next page,
Sure.
third paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Andrews met with the board regarding the scope of work to be done in regards to the water project. Shouldn't that say that was the fire districts? Because that water project is taking quite a thing if somebody else reads later on.
Now, which paragraph you want?
Third paragraph. Work to be done in regards to the water project. Planning grant. People won't know what it's all about. They read these minutes later on down the year, down 2 years down the road. Shouldn't that state fire districts?
Okay, you think it should say regards to the fire district water project planning grant?
Yeah.
I guess that's
Okay, I can
what you
just put
think.
that in.
Yeah, it was in reference to that, I guess. Although
Down the road, they wouldn't know what that was all about.
Okay,
That's all I have.
all right. Anyone else have any others?
that's pretty good.
And the corrections have been made in the original draft. Do we have a motion to approve those corrections? Do we have a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? I don't find a signature page on these, Dick. We just turn over and sign the back. That'd be fine. It's just not attached.
Yeah, why can't we do
Or
that?
can we sign just the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving along, next item, questions from the floor. Have anyone? No?
Yeah, well,
I do.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
I think most of you know me. I'm Gary Kupfer. I don't know if this is the appropriate place, but Mark Sperry, I talked to him over the last couple days, and he suggested I would stop in tonight, explain my dilemma, or I should say my client's dilemma. I represent Rutland Fire Clay Company, and Tom Martin is seated here. He's the president. They own some land, they've owned it for over 100 years down off of Perkins Road. I think most of you know where that is, down by the hospital. Some things are happening with the company where we may sell some land, which, as I say, literally has been in the family or the company for over 100 years. When I did some title work, I found out that a 27-acre parcel is leased lands from an 1821 lease, and it's 999 years. There's a subsequent lease in 1908 from the town of Rutland to Fire Clay. I don't know why it was done, but it's there. There are some rights in both leases where if certain things aren't done, it would revert back to the town. My concern is, as I say, they're thinking about selling it. Right now, they'd have great difficulty doing that on the current terms. As I said, I've spoken with Mark. What I have done is I have a letter for Mark and a proposed quitclaim deed just on this 27 acres, which Fire Clay technically owns, but it's under a 999-year lease, and it does have some reversionary language, meaning if certain things aren't done, annual rents and stuff like this, it goes back to the town. I'm just looking for the town to clear up the problem, so if we do find a potential purchaser, actually we do have some family members, the Perkins family, who essentially own Rutland Fire Clay, are interested in buying it. But as I say, right now, there's a problem with the title. So,
Just a quick question.
sure.
It's owned by Fire Clay, but we've got a 999-year lease on it?
No.
The town of Rutland does?
Actually, the town and the school directors back in 1821 gave a guy named Smith a 999-year lease. In 1908, the town gave another 999-year lease on the same 27-acre parcel to Rutland Fire Clay. And they've been there on 13.5 acres since 1883, and the other 13.5 since 1908. This is school land, or it was at one point. The parcel is much bigger. I don't know what's happened on other parcels up there, but they would have the same problem that we have. I don't know if any of them have ever come before the board in the past or not. Maybe it's never been detected because of the chain of title. There's been different owners. The problem we have is, I say, we've owned it so long. When I did some title work, I came across it. So technically, the town probably still owns it, subject to our 999-year lease. But as I say, there is some reversionary interest, which concerns me too. And we would just like a quitclaim deed from the town on this 27-acre parcel. It's actually adjoined by other Fire Clay land, and then once we do that, we could proceed with our sale.
You're confusing.
It is, and I do have a letter.
Whose land was it originally?
As near as I could tell, the original 1821 lease was from the selectmen and the school commissioners. Then the 1908 lease was just from the town of Rutland to Fire Clay, and both leases are 999 years.
Where's this guy Smith?
I tried to locate him, but I assume he's dead by now.
He sold it to Fire.
Yeah. So, as I say,
He sold
he sold
his
it.
lease to Fire Clay, that merged?
part of it. Smith was given the original 27 acres. It was divided into two parcels of 13.5 acres. Fire Clay ended up with both, but they were the original 27 acres. As I say, this is just one part of a so-called school lands up there. I don't know, that's all Fire Clay owns of the school lands. But Tom tells me there are some expensive houses built on some other school lands up there. I don't know what's happened there with the title.
Yeah, I think we're,
You want a little input?
yeah, I mean, we're really shocked. I wasn't aware of,
He's got personal notes probably.
See this book right
kind
here?
of in the archives, that's where it's been.
I inherited that from Andy Orfeld.
Oh, boy.
These are the glebe lot or school lot. We control or have things to do with 9 of them. And Fire Clay on this rental, they send a $5 check in every year. And I recorded in this little book. Things have happened in that area, like there's a Keenan lot,
That adjoins this,
Yeah.
that's correct.
and we got down here, Dumas and Erickson. We're sending that $25 in. You can either send a rental or take it off your tax. Most people send in a check. So it's very confusing. When I first came, I asked them, what is this? And no one could tell me. Barry Burke did a little bit. So the Queen of England had these lots, and it goes back to 1909.
Is that how we got those West Rutland lots?
Yeah.
We've been able to track those for
Yeah,
years.
we've known them for years.
I wasn't aware of this situation at all.
The parcel is much bigger than 27, but the 27 acres we're concerned with is what Fire Clay owns up in that area. Is it right in the middle of our property on one edge? It's on the south edge of other Fire Clay property.
We're probably gonna have to do a little work.
That's fine, and as I say, I've spoken with Mark, and I have a
Okay.
letter for him.
Yeah.
But I just wanted you to be aware of the situation.
Brand new lots.
It's very confusing. I mean, it goes way back to the 1800s. I didn't worry too much about it. I record the check that comes in, and they all pay it.
Never worry about land, they don't make any.
But this is the school leave line.
Okay, Gary.
I'll submit the stuff to Mark, and then he can bring it up with you.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to talk about it.
Good. Thank you, folks.
Okay. anytime. Any other questions from the board? Okay, moving along. Health officer, building inspector, those are both Barry Burke. He's not here for report. Road commissioner,
Okay,
Marshall.
I don't know if this comes under road commissioner, but I was
It's the
called
same
this,
thing,
called this morning in reference to this, what happened to the discussion on the sidewalk
Right,
from the
same thing.
school to, have you got that too?
Yeah, Bev called me today.
Okay,
That's right.
yeah, all right, she's interested in it,
Mhm.
and I don't know what was left off. She just wanted to know what happened.
Yeah, I didn't have an answer for her.
I didn't either.
She said Joe had some preliminary cost estimates worked up by someone to extend the sidewalk from, I believe, the crosswalk at the Rutland Town School to the Center Drive entrance. And Joe's not here yet. He's had a death in the family. He'll be in a little later. I told her, I remember her coming in with a petition. We agreed to pursue it. And somehow Steve Howard came into play with trying to get some funding from the State Agency of Transportation. I don't know how successful he's been doing that. I told him we definitely would bring it up again and pursue it. Right now, I think we're going to find out if Crane Henry has been involved in some engineering work there, and what the cost numbers are going to be. And she asked about maybe getting it put in the budget. I said, I think that depends on how much money it is. If it's a substantial amount of money, I think we're probably looking at a separate ballot item for approval. We also have to take into consideration the possibility of some state aid money, state grant money of some kind, to help defray some of our costs. It's not a long section of sidewalk, but it's in a very critical safety area. And I know we had a number of the residents of that part of town in here with a petition, and I know we committed to them to pursue it. And I don't know, if it got just postponed, we got busy on other matters, we just haven't pursued it any further, and I told them we would rediscuss it again and bring it back up. And as soon as Joe gets in here, I think we should ask
Yeah,
him
bring it up, okay.
about what knowledge he may have about it.
Because she told me a couple of things I didn't know. She said something about the price of putting the sidewalk in was something like $6,000 or something. However, something came about that in order to put the sidewalk in, a curb was required,
Right.
and curbing was gonna be real expensive, so that's where, so Joe might know something on that. I really,
Okay, let's bring it up with him, because she said she has talked to him, and he has some idea what the
Yeah.
cost would be. So Joe will be here around 8:15, so we should be able to clear that up with him. Any other highway business? Okay. Recreation, Larry Delvenary, he's at another meeting. I saw him earlier tonight. He didn't have anything to report. Okay. Planning and regional planning, Charlie Brothers is not here, David's not here for either one. And the bypass committee, no one's here for that. Joe is not here. Our administrative assistant, he will be later, I'll get a report from him. Tim Perry's in another meeting. Richard Del Bianco,
Hey.
your turn.
This reappraisal thing, I think Joe was going to mention.
Yeah, he was.
But we haven't done anything.
No. I know John Paul brought it up, and I caught him after the meeting or whatever. And I think what we have to do, much like we did with the recycling bid that we received, is draft up an RSP, or RFP, a request for proposals, outlining exactly the work to be done, so people that want to give us a price quote know what they're expected to do. Otherwise, I mean, there really isn't any direction. I mean, you know, you've got calls, they really don't know what we would like them to do. So I think we've got to draft one of those up and outline the work that would have to be done. And then I think we can get, you know, some pretty quick bids in here.
Would,
Wait a minute. We're not looking for any bids.
Well,
We're
no.
not even talking reappraisal. All we're looking for, let's keep the record straight. At a taxpayer's request at the town meeting, a taxpayer asked if we would just get some type of a quote, estimate quote on what it would cost to reappraise Rutland Town. We're not looking for bids. We're not looking for anything of that sort. We're just looking for a quote from some interested party who might want to give us one on what it would cost to reappraise Rutland Town real estate and personal property, which personal property in this town is a very large item on the grand list, $50–60 million, and maybe more, who knows. So let's keep the record straight. All we're looking for is an estimate from someone out there who might do appraisals for a town such as ours for the real estate and personal property tax. We need no bids. We need nothing of the sort. Bids aren't even, this isn't the point. All that gentleman asked for was an idea of what it would cost to reappraise Rutland Town.
But I think we've got to, go ahead, John, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
My motion was that we seek bids for reappraisal. My understanding of the gentleman's request and my motion stated that I thought we had to formulate a proposal for a bid request so that we could identify what we wanted to have done in terms of a reappraisal, and we need some professional input
Could we
on
play
that.
the tape back, please? Because if that was a motion, I have to ask to vote to rescind that motion, because that's my misunderstanding. All my understanding was, you said that at the town meeting, we had agreed to get some pricing and an idea what it would cost to reappraise. And that's what I was voting on. We've gone no further than that, and I would like to have you play the tape. And if this is such that you're saying, John, I would like to make a motion to rescind that vote on the grounds that I misunderstood what was said. But first, I would like to play the tape, if we could.
Certainly your prerogative. I don't remember you voting on the motion at all, number one, and
Well, if there was a motion, I must have voted on it.
well, I specifically looked at the rest of the board to see who was voting. I don't know whether your vote's recorded or not, John, but I know what the intent of my motion was.
Was that last meeting?
No, this was some time
2
ago.
meetings ago.
Yeah, whenever it was. Well, don't you have a record? Do you have the minutes?
yeah, well, we can find it.
Yeah, would you find that for me? And if that's the case, because all we were doing, now listen, how are we jumping to all of a sudden bids for reappraisal? Nobody has agreed to any reappraisal in Rutland Town. All that we were asked for was, at the town meeting, and some of us were there, probably almost everybody here, was to get an idea of what it would cost. And he even specified, just to get an idea so we'd know where we stand. Because he had said at the time, if you recall, I've heard 100,000, 200,000, 500,000. He just wanted an idea in his mind of whether it was going to be 100 or 500 or whatever. And we said, certainly, there's nothing wrong with that. And that is what we were acting on here. Now, if there's something different there, I'm certainly in the blind on it, and I'd like to get the records of the vote, and I'd also like to play the tape and hear the tape. Just let me know when you want to play it back, and I'd like to hear the tape on exactly what was said. And if what you're saying was said, John, I would like to make a motion after that to rescind that vote and get another vote, because it was certainly a misunderstanding with me, and anybody that knows me knows that.
Well, just as,
I'd like the record clear, and that's, I guess we have to stop now till you do that.
Well, we wait for Joe because Joe.
Yeah, okay, well, yeah, no, I didn't mean stop, you don't have to do it tonight.
Oh.
No, not tonight, I'm not asking you to do that. What I meant is, we can't continue until this happens.
Okay, I'd just like to say one thing though. I think we have to outline and define what type of work these people will be asked to
Sure.
do.
Certainly.
You know, there's several methods of appraisal. You come in here to appraise the town and never leave the building.
That's right.
I don't think that's acceptable. I think we've got to define exactly what someone would be expected to do. They would actually, I mean, this town hasn't been reappraised in, what, 30 years. It's like never being appraised at all. You'd have to go out physically and start from scratch, and I think that's going to involve a lot of work at a fairly substantial cost. So I think those are the types of things that anyone that's going to give us a price quote would have to know what kind of work they're expected to do. And I think that's where an RFP would come into play.
well, that's what the intent of my motion was. I don't want someone coming in here and giving a lowball estimate just on reviewing the records.
No, we don't want a lowball estimate. That's
Well,
what,
that's why we need
that's
that
what the problem
request for a
was.
proposal.
But I certainly want to listen to what your motion was, previous to making any decisions at all here, because if it's what you just explained it to be, I was totally misunderstood. My understanding was totally out of order. So I would just like the record clear first.
I'm sure we can search that out.
Sure, no problem. Right.
That inventory too?
I think, yeah,
That's
John,
everything.
Everything.
If
All
there
right,
will,
let me just interject that the couple calls that we received when they saw the article in the paper, and we couldn't tell them much, but I guess the motion was for all three, and they said that's just impossible for inventory and business property.
no,
You know?
it's not impossible.
Why is it
Well, listen.
where's it
pick-
impossible?
It's impossible for people that don't do that type of work. And that's where towns get in trouble, when you don't have the type of expertise to go in and do
Well,
that type of work.
okay, we got 250 by, we'll probably up to be 280 business. April 1st, you gotta declare inventory. What are you gonna do? Have a person at each store that morning start counting?
no, you're gonna have if you're gonna have a reappraisal of the town, they reappraise everything in this town. Including in that will be business, personal property. They will go into every business in this town and at their presence appraise everything that's there. If something changes when it comes the April 1st time, well then the listers then will have to go and make that decision whether there was a change or not. He will reappraise everything that he sees at the time he is there, and he will have that documented.
But now.
He will have that documented, Dick. And then, when it comes tax time, if he puts in a different tax than the reappraisal gentleman documented, then the listers have to see, and he has to come forward with what left or what came in or what have you. I hope you don't think for a minute that a reappraisal is not going to include one of the largest grand list items in this town, which is business personal property tax.
We've got a system now.
We've got a system as far as town appraisal is concerned. We've got the 1968 appraisal, which is a system there.
No, that thing we voted has 36.
But that doesn't tell you the items in these businesses. We want every item appraised if this is done.
They send the paperwork that they send the government.
This is Rutland Town. What the feds do is their business.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Dick, you want to talk reappraisal?
I'll go on record.
When you reappraise, you have. Am I correct on this? Don't you have to reappraise the personal property tax also?
Oh, I think if you're gonna do a total reappraisal, you gotta appraise everything that's taxable in the
But a
town.
guy, these men, or the people come into these stores, and they look at the inventory. Say they start this thing, when? October, November, and they put a figure down. And then the guy, April 1st, gives us a figure, and naturally he's not going to agree. The inventory coming in and out.
That's right, Dick. That's when it becomes the lister's job. If he listen, wait a minute. No, Dick. No, wait a minute. If the fellow who does the reappraisal comes into the store and lists what he sees there in September, there's a documentation and a record of that.
Yeah.
When April 1st comes, he files his inventory tax, if you're talking inventory. I'm not a big concern about inventory. I'm more concerned about business personal property tax. But he submits his April 1st documentation of his inventory. Now the listers take a look at that. They look at that and they look at the one from the person who reappraised. If there's a big differential there, the lister can either say, yeah, we've got to go take a look because and we want to see some documentation of where this other stuff disappeared, or, well, yeah, it's common for this store to be up or down this much. Am I right? Our attorney's sitting here. Am I not right?
You're right. You're
It's
looking
just-
for somebody to check
That's
on
right.
what's there
Right. On April 1st.
on whatever date.
Yes,
So
but what
that you
he's
have an
what he's.
idea of what's going in and out.
That's right. There you go. An idea.
Surely
And then he
proof
can
will
ask
go,
that
yeah.
business to show where these items had left between September and April 1st. If they can show, then that's legit. If they can't, they've got to prove why this was done on September. So I'm going to tell you, I guess.
It's a
You know,
monumental tax.
what's that?
A
No,
monumental
no, it's not. It's common sense.
That's right, yeah.
You're looking for an audit.
Huh?
You're looking for an audit on personal property.
Pretty
That's
much.
what you're looking
That's
for.
right. Which comes into reappraisal because it's not real estate, it's personal.
Even
But
though they submit sheets to us, they submit to the federal government, unless somebody really checks. There's no way to document, in fact,
We know that. That's what
we
came
know
out
that
in
for
the
a
last
fact.
trial.
We have found property, even under this system, that is not being reported.
Right,
You either
so,
do 100% reappraisal,
you don't do any of
or you
that.
don't do it at all.
okay, you're all set for 1 year. What happens the next year?
Well, that's why I'm arguing that why spend $300,000 and $400,000 and $500,000 to reappraise when 2 or 3 years down the road you've lost it all.
No,
You're
I
not
think-
really talking reappraisal of personal property. You're talking about auditing and counting it. Make sure it's there.
Into the reappraisal because it's a large part of our grand list. If there's a town with 3 businesses in town, who cares? But a town like Rutland Town with 50, 60, 70 million dollars worth of it, it's a large impact on our grand list.
I think in this particular case, we've got to talk to somebody like the appraisers or the assessors in the village of Essex, where they've got 1,000 businesses, they've got IP.
When the state reappraised this
handle
town
that type of thing.
in 1968, they also reappraised the personal property. They went into General Electric, counted their machines, what they owned and what they didn't, what the value was. They don't appraise any different today than they did in 1968. That wasn't that long ago. And I was with them when they did that.
Well, I got some thoughts on this, John, that I got from our expert in the last case, and I'll be glad to share with the board at some point. Basically, you're looking at an auditing situation
Fine.
for the personal property.
Fine. That's fine.
But the main concern is real estate.
No, that's not our main concern. Real estate's not too bad in Rutland Town. That's not our, is that your,
That's why towns.
that's not our
so
main
bad
concern.
when they get reappraised, because there's a lot of people out there that can reappraise real estate. But there are only certain select few that can do the intricate kind of reappraisal that involves inventory and personal property. And if you don't have that type of work done, then you see some big number changes, and real estate homeowners are affected dramatically. And I won't allow that to happen here. If that has to be done, then everybody's going to be reappraised. I know that there are a few people in town that would like to pick and choose who gets reappraised. But I'm going to tell you, that's not the way it's going to be.
No, everybody, you got Stafford Scraggs, those cards in there with,
They're nothing.
no.
They go to the recycling
Yeah,
center,
you go on those Marshall Swift new computers.
if it's open that day. But anyway, well, I think we've got a little work to do here.
Yeah, right, so we can go on.
You know, Mark's got to be consulted on this as well, because we've done, as a town, a lot of work in the court challenges that we received. as
Well,
far
I think
as-
when Joe gets here, we check the minutes of the meeting and see what was said.
Okay.
I specifically remember seeking a proposal so we would know what the heck we were asking for a bid on, or a proposal, cost proposal on.
I'd love you guys to talk to Barry Pinkley sometime, our expert. He had a lot of ideas about how to deal with this issue. And, you know, I mean, he says, if you don't know how to read the stuff they're giving you, the depreciation schedules, you don't know what's slipping through your fingers. And, I mean, that's just basic. We aren't tax experts. But a
Where's
real,
this guy from?
he's from in Saratoga. He's a real good guy. He's, He was a good expert in our case.
What's his name?
Barry Tinsley.
Is he the guy in the boat?
Yeah, he's the guy that, on the boat.
We have ways to get a hold of him if we need him.
Sure, I've got his phone number.
Okay, let's, where did Dick disappear to? He's still, Dick, you got any other stuff?
No. Oh, I bought about 100 bulbs ready for the Christmas tree.
Yeah, it should, if everything goes fine, it'll be Wednesday.
How's Charlie?
Get Charlie lined, 2 Charlies are lined up here.
Both Charlies?
If the truck comes
We
through
got,
for us, it'll be Wednesday.
as long as Dick gets the lights all set up, we'll be all right, because Florrie's Diner is gonna have hot cider and donuts. Charlie Vega is gonna, Boyd is gonna sing carols.
Oh, very good.
We're all set.
I know he has some musical ability. It's gonna take me a while.
Either sing or all right.
Yeah, well, we won't, we,
Get the tree out.
if everything goes fine, we'll get it Wednesday day, and then we'll put them up.
Sure.
Y'all done with this other?
Well, I'd just like to say I appreciate, you know, the people that do this job. I mean, you drive by and it looks real nice at holiday season to see this thing all lit up, but it's a tremendous amount of work to get a tree, get the lights, make sure the bulbs work, get the thing up, get the lights on the tree. So I would like to say that personally, I appreciate it. I think it looks very good, and I think the town should be proud of having that tree out there.
I do a lot of cursing and cussing down there all by myself. When you lay out 6 string and the lights blow and the fuse, you gotta start with a 7 amp fuse and then a 10, a 15, a 20, 25. But gee, then I step on some bulbs in there, but I ordered that. In fact, I
All
went
the
there
people
and
that are
saw
involved, Mike Leonard and these gentlemen here, Dick and John, it's much appreciated around town.
We're waiting for our tree to grow out here.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you, that's a shrinking tree.
It looks like
Good dog,
Nick,
really.
on the general here, what's this one William Bloomer price for? That's Dick's, isn't it?
No, what happens is,
we get reimbursed.
yeah, we get reimbursed. In other
Okay.
words, that's the bills, Bloomer and postage and the Rutland Herald ad.
But we get reimbursed
But
from
we
Dick
get,
on this.
we get a check from the taxpayer. That
That
money's added
includes all
on.
that.
Okay,
Yeah,
alright.
just the one.
Okay.
One thing for you, we had a ex-fireman pass away recently, Vernon Creed. And he worked on the highway department for a number of years. He was in the fire department for quite a while. I think it'd be appropriate to acknowledge his passing with a donation to whatever cause a family requests. The usual. Okay. Anything else from you, Dick?
No.
Okay, I'd like to take care of one matter. Karen brought up something interesting last meeting about a couple board members serving on a police type committee, much like our recreation fire committee, where 2 members oversee the operations, try to handle some of the problems, bring them to the full board for approval or disapproval. And I think we all agreed it was a pretty good idea. John Paul expressed an interest in being one of those, and I think I would like for 2, unless someone objects.
No, it's
So
fine.
John Paul and myself, we aren't on any other committees together. And if that's appropriate, I
Sure.
would appoint that
Fine
committee
with
with
me,
John
fine
Paul
with
and
you.
myself.
Fine.
That committee would probably be designating where the constables park.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, will there be any problem parking out here? Sure, fine.
Okay, great, thanks.
The other thing, one other thing.
Sure.
I wasn't here, but I was told about agencies, that they'll all go on the ballot.
Mhm.
That's fine.
Yeah, well, we started seeing some things start to fall last time. And I think, to present a true budget, I think agency requests should be withdrawn from the general fund budget and allowed to stand on their own and come under the scrutiny of the people. It's gonna make a long ballot, I know, but I've always been an advocate of letting them stand by themselves.
Okay.
All right, anything else from you, Dick?
No.
Okay, I don't have anything under new business. Old business, water payback matter on the state planning advance money. Now, we discussed this quite extensively last meeting. Mr. Turner was here, as well as Mr. Butler, Mr. Joe, and Charlie Baker. A number of people from the fire district on Fire Drive were here. We've got about $39,000 to $40,000 to be designated among a 2 out 5 fire district. I think tonight, and Peter Andrews is here from the Free and Henry, can correct me if I'm wrong, we have to make a determination how that money's to be divided. Am I correct?
I think it'd be advisable, we left at the last meeting, as I recall, was I said, we'd send the information in, which we did. The letter we said something of the effect that it'll be determined. One option is to wait and see what the state's comment is. My guess is they're gonna come back and say, what is the determination?
Sooner or later, we're gonna have to do it.
You're gonna have to make a determination, so.
I think we're all aware, we're all here last time.
By the way, the state, as of to this afternoon, about 2 o'clock, the state had not looked at the revised scope yet. They hope to get to it this week.
The bone of contention last meeting was, do we take $5,000 or $8,000 and divide it times 5, which would cover the 5 different districts, which means we've got some districts with a lot of homes in them, which would reduce each individual homeowner's cost by substantial amount of money over, say, the prior drive people where there are 13 homes to absorb the cost of a $5,000 planning advance, but they have to pay it back, proceed with some type of construction or whatever. Or do we take the total sum of the money, the total $39,000 to $40,000, add up all the homes that are involved in all the fire districts in question here, and look, maybe even the empty lots, and just divide it out and see the impact on each individual home, which would be a broad-based way of doing it. Now, those are the two that I remember discussed last meeting. I don't know if there are any others that have been brought forward. Those are the two I'm familiar with. And I think we should make a decision tonight exactly how that money is to be divided. But like Peter said, even though the state hasn't asked for it now, you know they're going to real soon. So anybody have any ideas?
People have anything to say on that?
We have some fire district folks here tonight.
Yeah, they weren't here the last time.
Mr. Butler, do
I know I'm in favor of dividing the total cost by the number of connections. I think it's the fairer way to go, and if you divide it in fifths, some small fire districts are going to get hurt really bad. And I think Fred got some numbers here. You want me to give him these numbers?
Yeah, okay.
If we divided it into just straight fifths, for example, the larger fire district would only have to pay back 65% of $226. And the smallest district would have to pay $610 back. And I just don't think that's a fair way to do it in a democracy. I feel it ought to be by connection.
If you went per connection, it would be $226 per hookup, so to say.
No. If you just divided it by 5,
Yeah.
the largest district would only pay $226 per connection.
I see. Oh, I guess what I'm looking for is if everyone there paid individually, about what would that run each?
I haven't got that number.
You have the total of all the lots? I had that last week, but I don't have it.
138
No, total is more.
You're talking about lots?
lots. We're talking connections.
No, connections.
In other words, how much would it cost each? We know it's going to be
138
$226
into
on the big ones by going to
39.7.
fifth and $610 on the small one. What would the cost be if each one was charged individually?
We gotta calculate it out.
If
you went by
if
you went by connection,
Connection, right.
right, the connections, where I'm looking at the connections from Dufresne and Henry here, which is 139 connections. Yeah,
That's
over,
last week, yeah, I had that last week. But there may be more than that because there were some lots we weren't sure.
Well, this will give us an idea. of
Just the
ballpark.
connections.
Just the connections.
this I think is fairly close. That comes out to $285.61 a connection before you pay the 65, have to pay the 65%.
But that's in reference to the 226 and the 610.
Yeah.
Right. 285. It isn't. You know,
About it last time, the Hitchcock Terrace only paying $150 like that, and that synergy for a hookup, and it's gonna cost probably drive by around $400 or $500. $600, yeah, $600 for a hookup.
If you did a fifth per each
Yeah,
fire
yeah.
district.
And I think like, Dick
would you be
says, I
against
think it should be,
each one?
my own personal feeling, it should be, it's all one project, it's all McLaughlin's water, and they're all in trouble, should be an individual hookup.
Okay. Anybody else have any comment?
I know
Are you
some-
caught on this one?
Well, no, I still just question the fact of whether we're committing taxpayers to pay other people's tax.
Which way?
If we do the individual hookups, are we then saying to people in this development, you're going to be responsible for subsidizing and paying back for another development? That's my only question. I mean, it's not that I understand their problem, and I don't have a problem with it, but I am just concerned that I don't like committing one group to paying taxes for somebody else. And there has been a lot of feeling from people that they have already been subsidizing some of Mickey McLaughlin's developments because everybody has paid the same rate, whether or not they've gotten the same attention. They've been charged the same fees all these years.
Of course, I guess we got to understand that this is only for the study. So that once it gets beyond the study, everybody in each development will be paying their own. Then it won't be this 5 development anymore. The only way the 5, my understanding, am I correct, that the only way that 5 developments are involved in this is because through the study, because of the grant money.
Right.
But once the study is done, once you get by this 38,000 or whatever you said it was, dollars, then each one of you are actually on your own. So it's just a decision here. It looks to me like if you went the 1/5 per project, the least anybody would pay would be $226, and the most someone would pay would be $610, which is quite a variation. But if you went per hookup, everybody would be paying $285, so it's much closer. 226 to 285 is much closer to 226 to 610. And, you know,
It's kind of like highway maintenance, John.
Yeah,
There's some
right.
subdivisions where you've got
Yeah,
$250,000 homes, and you have another one with $100,000
yeah, that's
homes.
right. Yeah.
The highways are gonna, you know,
The
you
same
treat
highway,
one the
right.
same as the other, even though one might be paying more tax. They have a right to the same level of service.
That's what I was gonna mention to Karen, was that I understand what she's saying.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily agree with it. Otherwise, we throw our school tax out, our road tax out.
Well, I understand that, but I have a concern that people do not think that this is a town-wide problem, because we've had some people come back in and say, this is a problem that the town of Rutland has. This problem wasn't created by the town of Rutland. This problem was created by Mickey McLaughlin.
That's correct.
And
That's absolutely
I think
correct.
that's what people have to remember, and, you know, I just don't want, I am just leery about committing people to paying other people's tax,
Yeah, I agree.
or what I would consider a tax.
Yeah, I agree with Karen 100% if it was the whole project. But I think maybe we ought to broaden our look because it's only for the planning money. You know, if it was the whole project, I agree with you 100%.
Well, I think we have to, if we do that, we just have to make sure that down the road people understand that it is not the town of Rutland that is going to be involved in this, so they're not coming back saying the town got them into this
Matter of
problem.
fact, this ends.
Yeah, see,
Exactly,
once-
but I just foresee people coming back saying, because I think there's going to be a lot more problems
Well,
down the road with this. I
Yeah,
don't think
once
it's
the
gonna
fire
be
districts
easy.
are formed, I think we're out of it.
Yeah, we're done.
I think we'll be going to the fire district for things because it makes them a separate entity.
Charlie, you had your hand up.
Yeah, what's the 226 we're talking about?
Well, he said, my understanding was you said that if it went in the 1/3 for each of the 5 projects,
1/5.
1/5, right, of each of the 5, that you would be anywhere from $226 to $610. Is that what you said?
That's what I said.
See, Charlie, what he's saying is, it would be from $226 to $610, that's the
Like
figure.
this?
If it was
Yeah.
1/5.
So then divided by the bigger
No, we
development.
understand that, but he was just throwing out the figures so that we could come up with something. And that's what I said, if
Two
the,
ways you can look at it, it's either by connection or by lot. Okay?
yeah,
There's a hooker in the middle of all that. If you go by the connections, I just gave you the figure there, it's 285, right? There are some developments, there are some fire districts who have undeveloped lots in them. Some of them have quite a few. Mountain being one, Countryside being another, okay? If you go by connection, and these fire districts pay that 285 or whatever, it's possible for them to come back on the tail end and get these guys to the undeveloped lots to pay a lot more to subsidize their cost and get it down per connection. You follow me? But if you go by lot, everybody pays straight across the board. There's no question at all. Who's subsidizing who here?
I see you'd rather go by lots.
I'd rather go by lot.
Yeah.
If you're on the fire district plan, you're in the payback.
Problem is, some of these lots are unapproved, never put them.
Yeah, this, I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's where.
Yeah.
That's where you gotta really
It's
take a
too
good look at
hard,
it.
so that's
If
why
you
I.
divide them up in lots, if you divide them up in lots, the fire district, in this case, would be subject to a number that is equal to the existing homes connections plus the lots. What happens and how do they pay if those lots don't get developed?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
That's a crystal ball.
See, once this is over with, and then it's each fire district's responsibility to cover that tract. We don't have anything more to do with it, so you're right. But it's up to you people then. That's when Rutland Town is really out.
That's right.
Out. Yeah, that's what I was just reading.
So my contention there, John, is if you've got a lot and you're on the fire plan, on the fire district, if you're on the fire district as a lot, you should be included along with a connection because it's to your benefit. If you've got a lot you can't develop, well, that's tough. You're on the thing, you had 30 days to get off it. Okay?
And that was our understanding, that's what the state of Vermont told the people who did call up there, was that whether or not you got the water from the fire district, you had to pay. So
I see, that's where it came, that you didn't have to get on it at the beginning if you didn't want to, right?
no, that was where all the misinformation came from, telling you you had no alternative, that you had to be in the fire district, and that you would pay whether or not you wanted water from the fire district or not. And that's why some people didn't put in their own wells, even though they could have. They were told that they would pay, so it would be like paying twice. You'd pay for your own well, and you'd also be paying the fire district.
Well, if you go by lot, you're down to $229. I think that's where you folks decide which one you want to go.
Well, like I say, we only want to do what's best for you, Charlie, and believe me, it's a
Did all of the
decision how-
fire districts have their meeting together? I thought that was the impression I got at the last meeting, was there was going to be a meeting of all the fire districts to try and get a consensus of how people...
My opinion, they're all gonna be here tonight.
I think if we go by connections, and then each fire district puts together their ordinances will cover.
Tell you, when the
we
next
add
one comes
the
on,
additional
right,
lots. And I think that's
Right.
covered enough.
yeah. Like I said from the beginning on this, we only want to do what's best for you people. And it's all we can do is this grant money.
Turn
for
it
you.
over to you, let you see.
And turn it over to you. So, we're caught to make this decision on this particular thing because of the grant money. And we certainly want everybody happy. I don't know how you're gonna do it. The connection, because of the, one development has, 31 homes or hookups, and another has 11. There's such a variation that it's kind of hard to really say that you can go fifths. It's just hard.
I don't think it's just fair to the people.
Yeah, right.
You got 11 or 12 really working people trying to make a go of it, and all of a sudden they're going to get hit with $610. To me, that's not fair. That's not the American way. Not the way we run it.
What do you guys think?
I don't.
What do you think?
That's fine, sure, go by connections.
Connection? What do you think, John? Connection? Karen, I don't know, this consensus is connection.
Maybe Karen
My-
should vote. She's got a conflict.
Well, we want Karen happy too, she's one of them.
Listen to her, but let's not have her
She's one of them in one of the developments.
vote. She's got the right vote.
I think my conscience would feel better if we went the connection, because the most is gonna happen is the few who would be paying $226 will be paying $285, but several that would be paying $610 would only be paying $285, and I think the variation is a lot easier for one than it is the other, in all honesty, so if a motion is in order, I just didn't make it. I hope everybody's happy with it, but what else can we do here? We're caught.
Okay.
But I'd like to make a motion that the fire districts, this is in reference, we want to make sure that these motions are made in reference to the planning, because that's the only thing we're involved in. We wouldn't want it to go beyond, like you said. So to make a motion that the planning money is divided up amongst these 5 fire districts per hookup. Clear enough?
Okay. Have a second to that? Clifford? Any more discussion? Not all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
John? Any opposed?
Aye.
3-1. Next item. Board to discuss North End Sewer Project with Attorney Mark Sperry and Peter Andrews from Dufresne Henry. And this involves Cooley, I assume, and the contractual obligations of both parties in that project. Should this be an executive session?
It's my recommendation that we do so because we'll be discussing some strategy matters. The statute says that you can go into executive session to discuss contracts, civil actions at law, a bunch of other things, but contracts where premature disclosure would put the town at a substantial disadvantage. I think it would here.
Okay. Can we also, the South End Water Project is a negotiated matter.
That's right.
The negotiated agreement with the landowner down there.
That's right.
Should that also be?
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's some real strategy decisions there that we need to talk about.
Okay, so those are the two items that we have to deal with these gentlemen with. And,
We'll help you get the executive session.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Yeah,
you're
see you
welcome.
later.